Welcome to this new lesson. In this new lesson, we will parse the titles and the meals information from the text returned from the model. So if you can see here, this is the text we got back. It contains the title of the breakfast followed by breakfast information, the title of the lunch followed by lunch information, and the title for dinner followed by the dinner information, and this section that lists the title. So first we will write a function that parses the titles to a list from here, and also we will write a function to parse all of these three information into three JSON objects. Okay, let's reduce this. And let's go back to the controller. Of course, the last thing we got the response back, we were logging it here. So let's comment out this for now and make a call to a new function, extract meal titles, that will extract these titles. So here I define this function. Then the first step will be to split the meal text into new lines. So meals.split, that will split the meals into lines, so based on the new line character. Okay, then we will slice the lines. This list that has lines from the meal, we are slicing it -3, meaning the last three lines. So the last three lines of this list will be sliced and stored last three lines. So now we have the titles. The only problem is that it contains these dot, 1 dot, 2 dot, etc. So we'll use a regular expression in order to separate them. So now we are adding this line, last three lines that we got from here, map, that will call this anonymous function. This is an anonymous function, will be called for each line in the last three lines list. Now for each line, what we are going is just we are replacing the 1 dot, if it is 1, or dash or period, we are replacing them with an empty character. So that will make us get rid of the 1 dot and space, and we will just have the titles. And finally, we just return the list. Then we can test that. Let me just make sure that we do print the titles. No, we don't, so I'll add that. So here is the console log to log the titles. Let's try it again. Now it just should print just the three titles at the bottom of the section. And yes, you can see that it was able to print a list that contains the three titles. Okay, the next step will be to extract the meals into three JavaScript objects. So here I add a call to the extract meals function. Okay, and I will define this function below. So that's the function extract meals. It takes the meals, return text from the API, and the titles list. So first I remove the title section from the bottom. This title section at the bottom, we need to remove it. So what we are going to do is that for the input string, we split it on the titles, which means that it will be split for two parts, a part above the titles and a part below the title. Now that returns an array of two parts. The first index, or the index of the first one, which is 0, is what's above the title, while the index 1 is what below the title and below. Now we don't need the 1, we just take the 0, which is the part which is over the titles. Okay, then we split the input strings to multiple lines, so we'll have lines, a list that contains all the lines of the meal. Then we initialize a list that will contain the meals. That will be the return value of the function. Then we define the current meal. This variable will be populated with the current meal information and at certain points added to this meals list. Now we loop over all the lines in the list. As you can see here, for the lines list, we are looping for each line, and for each line we are passing that line text to this anonymous function. So this is an anonymous function that now we will be implemented. Of course, this anonymous function takes each line in sequence from the lines list. So the first thing in this anonymous function will be to find the titles. Remember, we passed the titles along with the input string. Now we will look for the titles within the lines. So we are actually looking for this line, and this line, because these are three titles which are available in the returned string. So now we'll check if the title has been found. So if this find returns true, this means that we are on one of these lines, this line or this line or this line. This means that we are in one of these lines. Okay, so if we got one of the titles, what we will do is that we will check if we are already having a meal, because we could be, for example, in the lunch, so we has finished populating the breakfast. So what we will do is push this current meal to the meals object, because if it is available, then we are on the dinner or on the lunch, so we need to fill in the current meal. And because we have found a new title, then we need to start populating the value, because if we found the lunch, for example, then we need to start reading these lines to the lunch and to include the title. So we create a new current meal object. This meal, of course, contains the title, which we know because we know that we found the title here. The description and the URL are still not available. The description, we have it, so we will be building it now, while the URL, we will have it later when we generate the image in another function. Okay, now all of this happened if this title has a value, so if we are in one of the title fields. If we don't have a title, then we are having just a normal line, which means we should add it to the description of the current meal. So what we are doing here, an if statement, that if there is no title, it is a normal line. We just check that there is a current meal because it is a normal line and it should be added to the current meal. So what we are doing here is we are, for the current meal, we are adding the line to the description. Of course, each line will be added followed by a new line, and this is plus equal, which means whatever description you have, you will have it add to it line and a new line. So now our logic is almost complete. So we loop for each line. If we find the title, then we have a title, we come here. If there is a current meal, so the previous meal is pushed to the meals object and a new meal will be created. Then we will continue and title will not return a value, so we'll come to the F and we will be adding each line to the description. Now the only thing that is remaining is that if we finished for the last value, we need to add it. Now we just need to return the meal list and we should be able to test the application now. Now let's come to the top to make sure that we don't print the meals list. So I will print it now. So here we are printing it. Let me now test this again. So what I'll do is that I will clear the command prompt. Clear. I will call the function. This is generating a new meals using the ChatCompletion APIs. When that is returned, we will first, as you can see, get the titles. And these are the titles that has been created. And these are the three lists. It contains the title. It is this. It contains the title, and this is the title, the description, which is all the lines that are following the title up to the next title. Then the URL will be added later. So by this, we have managed to extract both the titles and the meals from the return value from ChatCompletion. Next step will be to generate images from each title. Thank you.